with evening things. I just didn't have time to sit down like I used to do. And so this whole idea of the 5-minute menu planning kind of came out of that because I needed a more streamlined version of what I did before. So that is where that comes from. And this is just like, it's a portion of what I'm really passionate about. What I am really passionate about is helping people create rhythms and routines in their life, and then also traditions to help you leave a legacy that matters for your family. I think about like my grandparents and the legacy that they left me, and I want to make sure that what I am leaving for my children is something that's important, something that will stay with them, and something that will help them on their own journey as well.
That's so special. And a lot of that comes through in, our food, like our meals. I'm just thinking of
Absolutely.
recipes, recipes being passed down from, how many of us have little handwritten note cards, with a special family recipe. And that just holds so much of our identity and where we come from. So I think that's really precious. And then incorporating that into, a real life pattern where, we have school or work and jobs and sports or hobbies and things to fit into that, and so just how to make that into a rhythm that makes sense for the family. I think that's really an awesome passion and vision. So what's one of your favorite recipes?
Well, I like to eat seasonally as much as possible. And when we are in winter, I love to make soup every Sunday.
Okay.
And I'm kind of attached to this one lately. It's a curry butternut squash soup.
Oh,
And
that
it's
sounds good.
basically vegetables. And then once they're cooked, you puree them and add your spices. And then you can top it with a little dollop of either Greek yogurt or sour cream, or you can just, add some oyster crackers and eat it up.
Yeah, that sounds good. So good. And a good way to kind of get more veggies in too
Absolutely.
without really noticing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Becca's prepared a presentation for us. And so I'm going to see if you can, I gave you ability to share your screen if you want to do that for the presentation. And go ahead and take some notes if you want to, if you're watching this live, and I'll leave the replay up in the group as well. If you want to go ahead and tag a friend or, your neighbor, your sister, your mom on this video, now's a good time to do that, because I think this is really going to help you. And a while back, I started kind of figuring out when is the best time to do planning for meal prep. And, Sunday is a good day, but honestly, Friday's even better. So if you can think about what you want to be doing for the next week already on Friday, you have a jump start, and then you have the whole weekend to get your shopping done. And so to find a pocket of time, maybe, usually the grocery stores are pretty empty on Saturday morning if you go early, has been my experience, or, maybe there's another time that you prefer. So that's just a little tip that I've picked up along the way. So today is really a great day to actually do this for your week ahead. I'm all about being like just simplifying life, finding ways, simple systems that work for the family. So, yeah.
I used to find, I don't know how it is these days because I work on Tuesday mornings, but Tuesday mornings around 9 o'clock actually used to be the time when there's nobody at the grocery store.
That sounds like a really good time.
I would drop the kids at school and hit the grocery store. It was great. Okay, so it should be sharing.
Yes, there it is.
All right, great. So let's see, I just need to move this out of the way because there we go. Okay, all right, so 5-minute menu planning. So for those of us who are taking notes, here are some things that you will need. Some sort of calendar or day planner, or it can even just be a sheet of paper with a weekly list, as long as you have a place you can put that to keep track of it. Your master meal list, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that and what that is in a minute. And then again, some sort of paper or an app on your phone. Maybe you use your notes app for your grocery list. So step one you are going to list 3 to 5 recipes that you already know how to make. And if you don't already have a master meal list, this is the start of your master meal list. I really recommend keeping a list of things that you enjoy making and that your family likes to eat, because we all can kind of get into that rut of, oh, I don't know what to make. I guess I'll make tacos on Tuesday and spaghetti on Thursday and everything else I don't really know. And it's really easy to get in a rut. And then pretty soon everybody's like, we're having spaghetti again. So I keep in my planner at the front, and I know I'm sharing my screen right now, so you probably can't see. I'll share it maybe after I'm done sharing. I will show you my master dinner list. And you can do this process works for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I use it for dinners. My kids are all grown, so everybody's on their own for breakfast and lunch.
Okay.
So
So where do you keep such a list? Like
I
where do
keep
you
it
store
in
that?
the front of my planner is
Okay.
where I keep it.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you frequently use cookbooks, you could also tuck it in a cookbook, or if you have like a family household binder, some people organize their lives with binders, you could stick it in there, or you could keep it in an app on your phone.
All good ideas. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So after you have that list, so here are some tips if you're struggling to come up with ideas. There's theme nights. You can do Meatless Monday, Taco Tuesday, Soup Sunday. I also really like to think about, okay, what's already in my fridge that I need to use, and especially with produce, because produce can go bad so quickly and it's not exactly cheap. So of course we don't want to waste money. So I try to think about, okay, I still have Brussels sprouts in my refrigerator that need to be used. So I'm going to plan something that I'm going to have a side of Brussels sprouts with on, the beginning of the week, so that I make sure I use them up.
That's good. Yeah, I like the themes.
I think it helps. It kind of helps jog that like creativity when you're like, I'm coming up with nothing. And then you're like, oh, wait, I could do, it doesn't have to be Taco Tuesday, but it could be some sort of Mexican theme on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So it definitely helps.
Yeah, that's good.
So then step 2, you're going to take those 3 to 5 meals and assign them to days of the week. This is where your calendar is important, because you want to make sure that you're not planning something that's a little more work intensive on a night when you've got to pick up the kids from sports practice, and then you've got to turn right around and go to either, maybe it's a Bible study or a concert or something like that. So we'll see on the next screen some tips for that. I love to do 1 to 2 days for planned leftovers.
Okay.
So whether that's one night I'm making a chicken, like a whole chicken with roasted vegetables, and then I'm using the leftover meat in chicken soup, like in a different recipe, or I am basically making enough the first night for 2 meals. And then also just to have a day, because there's always different leftovers and random things. And so, just to have a day, clean it all out so I have room in the fridge for the next stuff.
Yeah. We did that last night. It was leftover night. And I forewarned the family too. I said, this is what we're doing tonight. So there weren't any surprised faces.
Right. Yeah. I think it's always helpful to communicate with your people what the plan is, and then that way they know.
Yeah.
So you have 3 to 5 already, you've assigned days, you have 1 to 2 days planned for leftovers. So if you have any remaining days, that's when you're going to dig into your Pinterest or, searching the web or your cookbooks for something else for the remaining days.
Okay.
So tips for how you're assigning your meals: choosing your easiest meals or your planned leftovers for days with extra things in them. Meals that have versatility but are easy to remember, so you're not having to constantly relook up a recipe or go back and find that spot in the cookbook. So things that I love to do are stir fries, because you can change out your meat. You can do pork, or you can do chicken, or you can do some thinly sliced beef. really easily. It's the same basic recipe. You're just swapping out a few things. Stir fries are also great because again, you can use up that produce because it doesn't have to be peppers and pea pods and baby corn. You can use whatever you've got.
Right.
You know, we had stir fry the other day with broccoli and pea pods and chicken, and it was great.
Yeah.
I love burrito bowls because they're quick and easy. They're tasty. Again, you can change up the toppings. You can change up the meat. You can use brown rice or white rice, depending on what you have.
Those are
Great.
delicious.
Yeah,
And nutritious too.
absolutely. And a little bit goes a long way. And then my main tip for meat is I love to use recipes that include meat in them, not at meat as like the main part, because it does help stretch your meat budget. We all know that meat is not cheap right now either. And so instead of having, you know, a chicken breast and then rice and then some veggies, and I have to do that for 4 people, I use 2 chicken breasts and we grill it and we slice it up and we put it in with a burrito bowl or in with stir fry. And that helps stretch that budget that much more.
That's a good tip.
And we have found that grilling our chicken and most of our meat really adds extra flavor, which is really nice. And it's a really healthy way to cook your meat as well.
Okay. Good tip. I love it.
Yeah. So step 3, now that you've assigned your days and you've figured out what meals you're going to eat and you've kind of thought about what you already have on hand, you're going to look at that and figure out what you need to get at the grocery store. And then you're going to go grocery shopping. It's pretty easy. And then just some general planning tips. Like I really like to take so I'm a teacher, as Molly mentioned. And so I will often use my breaks like summer break or winter break, and I will make up things that maybe take a little bit longer to make that I'm not going to make on an evening work night.
Okay.
Things like brown rice. You know, we all know brown rice seems like it takes forever to cook. And so what I will do is I will make up a whole bunch of brown rice and then I will freeze it in portioned sizes. Not everybody has the freezer space to do that. I am fortunate and I'm able to do that. But then that saves me time during the school year because I can use brown rice, which I prefer to eat the brown rice. It's healthier than white rice. But during the school year, I don't have time to make it. You know, I don't have an hour and a half when I get home from school to wait for my rice to get done. So I freeze it ahead and then I thaw it and heat it up and then it's great. It's good to go.
Sounds good. So just a basic question. Do you reheat it on the stovetop or do you use the microwave, or how do you get it to like taste fresh again?
I usually use the microwave, but it depends on what I'm making. If I'm doing like fried rice type dish, then I'll thaw it and then I'll just toss it in the frying pan and, you know, mix it up with the sauces and
Got it.
yeah. So it kind of depends what I'm making. But I always it's always good when you're reheating rice to add just a little bit of water to it as well when you're reheating it, because that helps give it back some of that moisture that it loses in the freezing process.
Good to know.
Highly recommend as you're making your master meal list to bookmark or pin any online recipes, because I don't know how many times I have not done that and then gone like, oh, everybody really liked that stir fry sauce. Where was it?
Right.
And then I can't find it again. So then I'm, you know, making it up as I go. And then this one, it seems work intensive, but it's really not. Making your own sauces and spice mixes as much as possible. It really doesn't take that long. It's actually cheaper in the long run because you can buy your spices in bulk and then mix things up. And then it has less fillers and additives than the pre-made mixes, especially things like taco seasoning or some of the different like curry mixes. Making your own is so much better for you than buying the pre-made ones. And it saves you money too.
Yeah, Well, that's a really good tip.
And my best tip for getting more vegetables is a big, beautiful salad or roasted vegetables. Roasted veggies are just so tasty, and you just add it to something, whatever you're making.
Mm,
And then finally, just, stay flexible. Life happens. There's been so many times where I've had a kid call me, Mom, my car won't start. Mom, I have to have this for tomorrow at school, or, and things kind of get rerouted, and that's okay. And you just kind of have to be able to flow with that.
yeah.
But the great thing about planning is that it actually helps you to be more flexible,
Mhm.
because you're not just necessarily like, oh, okay, I guess we're grabbing pizza again.
Right.
You have some options that you can pick from. You can swap things around, or yeah.
Yeah, that's so good. This wasn't one of the questions we talked about, but I'm just curious, do you pack your own lunch, like when you're working, and how does that fit into your weekly
So
meal
I
routine?
used to basically just take leftovers, whatever I could find, or
Mhm.
pack a sandwich or something. But for the last several years, I actually do a protein shake for breakfast and lunch. And so I just keep a canister of my protein shake mix at my
Super
school,
easy.
and then it's already done.
Yeah,
It's already there.
yeah, yeah. No, that's super easy. That makes a lot of sense too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you do want to, like, what my recommendation would be, if you are wanting to pack, like, not a shake, but like food, I would
Mhm.
just say, as you're considering what you're making for your dinners, make enough that you're going to have leftovers, or make sandwiches,
Yeah.
whatever you want. But if you're wanting to take leftovers, just plan to make enough that you have leftovers.
Mm.
I used to have times where I'd be thinking, oh, I'll just take those leftovers for lunch, and then everybody would eat all the food that night. And I'd be like, well, now I don't know what I'm eating for lunch tomorrow.
Right. Yeah, that's a problem. Sometimes if I do that, I'll actually put it away, like just take it off the main,
Yep.
out of the pot or whatever, and just kind of hide it.
Yes.
And just be
That's
like,
a
nope,
good tip.
sorry, the food's gone.
And label it. Do not touch mom's lunch.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you have any favorite swaps or substitutions that you like to use, like for, maybe some, like most of us are trying to stay away from white things like white rice or white pasta or white bread. Do you have any favorites to just easily substitute?
There are some good pastas out there that are like spinach pastas that are tasty. They do still have some wheat in them. So if you're trying to stay away from wheat, that can be tricky. I know you said that some of our people here today can't necessarily get spaghetti squash, but spaghetti squash is a really, really good alternative. And then I think mostly just, rice-based, and I, use brown rice if you can.
Yeah.
And make it ahead and freeze it.
Yeah.
Also, so on this slide, this flavorfullife.com, this is not my blog. My blog is the beccameek.com. She's a registered dietitian who I follow on Instagram. And she has some really great, ways to incorporate vegetables, and creative ways, and some really good recipes. Some of them are a little bit more work intensive, but not all of them. And she's a really good resource for how to incorporate more vegetables and eat healthy foods that taste good.
That's the goal. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And then on my Pinterest, I have several boards that are dedicated to different recipes as well. So.
Okay, that's great. And so that would be a great way for people to, follow you for more inspiration and tips, right? Is that your preferred?
Yes. Yeah. Pinterest is great, or you can follow my blog. I don't write a lot about food these days, but I do have some older posts that share my weekly menus. They're called Menu Monday, so you can check those out. And then I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing so that I can show you in the front of my planner, I have this. These are my
Okay.
master dinner list. And so I have it separated by chicken, beef, soups, pork, and then other. My family's not a big fan of fish, but we do have an occasional something with salmon or something like that. So
That's great.
that is my list, and I keep it there just to have that easy reference back to as I am making my meal plans each week.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably my biggest takeaway from this. So I'd love to hear from you if you're watching this. What's your biggest takeaway from this workshop? What are you going to implement in your meal planning? I'm definitely going to start that master list. And then where do you keep the online recipes? Do you keep that on a Pinterest board, or do you, where do
I
you
pin them
organize
to my Pinterest board. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's, another option is you can bookmark them and just, but
Yeah.
then I find it's easier to keep them all in one place, because otherwise
Right.
I'm like, well, something's saved on Pinterest and something's bookmarked, and where was it? And I don't actually remember. So I chose one, decided once.
Mm.
So that's where I try to keep my recipes, is on Pinterest.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's a super good tip. And so when in the month do you typically do this? Do you still do a 1 month plan, or do you do it weekly?
It kind of honestly depends on what my life is doing at the moment.
Mhm.
Sometimes I kind of am like, I have a chunk of time, and so I will sit down and I will look at kind of the whole month and kind of tentatively plan things out. Other times I'm like, I just got to get this week's menu plan done, so I know what I'm doing this week, and the next week will worry about itself. So it honestly just kind of depends. Like right now for January, I have not planned next week or the week after. I have through this week planned.
Mm. Oh, that's great.
So
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing with us your system.
absolutely.
I've really found it's one of the things that keeps our family moving forward, is to have, simple systems in place. And like nourishing our bodies is so important for, having a strong, like having a healthy soul and having energy to do the things that you love to do. So this is really key. And I wanted to share as well, if you're watching this and you are looking for a system to add to your daily routine, often we fall short in the nutrition categories, with getting everything that you need. And even if you shop like organic and, do everything right, it's still hard to get all of the nutrients and the vitamins and the minerals that your body needs. Vitamin D, for instance, too, in the winter. So I definitely recommend some quality supplements to add to your diet, to add to your system. And so I wanted to share a little bit too, just how you can incorporate that as to kind of fill in the gaps. And that's something that our family does as well, to just kind of round off the corners and make sure that everybody's getting what they need. And so we've just launched a multivitamin line for it's called Her and Him Dailies, that have like everything that you could need in a multivitamin, including like different blends for women for like urinary tract health and mood and your heart and your eye health. And as we get older, all these different things we need to take care of. So that's something as well that we would love to support you in, if you're looking for something to add to your system to really have a healthy lifestyle and get the meal planning down, get the menus planned. I love all the tips to get more veggies in our diet as well. So we got some homework for this weekend. Go plan your meal for the week and get your shopping done. And I would love to see, as you're watching this, as you're doing it, show us your menu plan. Like just put a picture in here, just take a little selfie. I'd love to see maybe your master meal plan. I think that would be really fun. And also just any favorite recipes. I think we all enjoy sharing each other, trying out each other's favorite recipes. So feel free to share those in this group. Yeah. Any last words, Becca, that you want to share with everybody before we sign off today?
I can't think of anything other than just have fun with it, be creative. And, I love what Molly was just saying about sharing recipes, because that's like, even though I do this all the time, I do this every week and I have my big list, I still love trying new things. And my family doesn't, we have a pretty good list of things to choose from, but we still love to try new things. And so it helps everybody and helps all of our creativity. It kind of sparks all of us.
Yeah, it does. Well, thank you, Becca. Go follow Becca Meek. Let's see, beccameek.com is your website. And yeah, just thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, bye-bye.